Hello, welcome to another interview with a fantastic artist, Una Lee, who is joining me today because we've got a handmade music coming up in only a few weeks' time from the date that we're recording this, and you will be performing at it.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally.
Finally, have you been knocking down the doors of Paul and Mark and?
Yeah, I've been enticed before, but I didn't really have a proper opportunity. I didn't have a proper occasion to be in it, and this time, yes. So I'm very pleased.
Do you want to tease the occasion? What work has inspired such the occasion that we're going to get?
So yeah, a bit about the performance in 2 weeks. Then 2 weeks time. I'm going to perform a piece that was actually supported by the Arts Council of Northern Ireland, which is a great opportunity here.
I have to give a shout out to the Arts Council.
Minority ethnic artist support. Yeah.
Nice.
Shout out. It's a piece. It's going to be about, I don't know, about women and women's rights, I guess. Not legal rights, not only legal rights, but sort of just in perception of, over the course of past few centuries in humanity. So.
Is that a common theme to some of your most recent work, or is that something that's particularly designed or inspired for this piece?
So with this piece, the real starting point is this Korean poet from the 15th century, a female poet, and she had a very hard time. Well, it's all in the piece anyway. You'll get to hear about it if you come to the performance.
A particular hard time for the 15th century and a woman in Korea.
Yeah.
Probably known for being exciting. Great times, so even hard for that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the 15th century, especially compared to now, I don't think many people had fun anyway.
Yes, yeah.
Anywhere in the world, probably.
Modern concept.
Yeah, exactly. So, her life and her legacy, whatever you might think it is actually the starting point of the piece, and then it goes on to be a little bit about more about women and that direction of topic.
Nice.
So, I'm looking forward to performing it. It'll be the first time. It'll be a premiere. So.
What is it about kind of handmade that made you want to knock down the door?
I mean, it's really the free-spiritedness of it, I guess. Yeah, it's just the kind of events that like any sound artist, experimental musician would hope it exists in their town, in their neighborhood, and it does, and just the inclusiveness as well. So yeah, it seemed like a really proper. The appropriate occasion.
Yeah, the team from Moving On Music and from SARC, who partner with us on it, have done a really fantastic job in building, I think, an exciting community and that feeling of inclusivity, feeling of adventure as well, artistic freedom and expression and adventure. So it can be really exciting to see your piece. Obviously, it's the second time I think you've performed in our building, the other time being with Northern Lights, is that correct? For one of the Orm
February.
Awards.
Yes, it was this year. Oh my God!
You were thinking it was like 20 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago. It was earlier this year with. Just the end of last year. That's what I felt like. December, and it was part of this Orm Awards series, curated by Northern Lights Project. And
that's because you were a recipient of one of the Orm Awards in 2020.
Yeah, I was very lucky to have received that in 2020 during COVID. Yeah. We had like live stream events and things like that, which was actually really a great opportunity to test your limits in making pieces. Making pieces or performing in your own room and house, and what you can do with the limited resources. But yeah, that's been really great. I had great mentoring program from that and met great other artists, sound artists. One of them in particular is also based in Belfast, and other people from the rest of the UK. And just do and apply when it comes up if you're eligible. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
because you've got support. Obviously, we've mentioned from the Arts Council for the piece coming up. Do you find because your work is in a particular I wouldn't say niche field, but a particularly challenging field of music. Is it hard to find support or recognition within it?
Yeah, I would dare say it's a niche field.
Yeah.
And somehow it's getting more and more niche. I don't know how to find support. I mean, what's in what art is easy to find support anyway, because if it's a sort of more accessible, I would say accessible or sort of more mainstream art, then there is proportionally more people doing it always. So, you just have to stick to it anyway, I think. But yes, it's not easy.
No, as you say, I think it's not easy for many people. The field, especially in our country, is the lack of funding is prevalent. I think for those who may not have heard your work or have Googled, I think because your website is just basically, if you Google Una Lee, you will find your website. So it's quite easy and accessible to find. But if people haven't listened to your work, what would you want them to know whenever they were first starting to listen? What's some of the driving behind the work, or what defines you? Not too difficult a question.
Yes, sound firstly. Actually, you do have to look up Una Lee sound or sound artist, because there is another Una Lee who's a visual artist.
Yes. No. Una Lee sound artist or musician.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. And I think narrative is a crucial part of my work, which wasn't planned, but it just evolved to be that way. And then the accompanying speech, spoken voice sort of practice. And I think they're also often contemplative and sort of meditative as well. Not always, but can be. And sound, I mean, in the end or in the beginning, it's still always about the sound for me anyway, and it might sort of manifest in a different form or format, but the core idea is usually sound.
So the word sound can hold a lot.
Yeah,
it's doing a lot of heavy lifting, that word.
Yeah,
because it can go from a small noise in the back, a scratch to anything. So, what could you unpack it a little bit? What aspects of sound, or what?
So indeed, actually, it could mean anything within that sound. It could be the idea of sound, how something is made, how something propagates, that sort of conceptual idea or concept
so
of sound.
How small, like a scratch, could take you to something else narratively? How might that evolve for your practice? Is it taking inspiration of when you start to add narrative to sound, are you imagining what one piece tells the next piece, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of an actual example. I had this sort of a talk in my Viva.
Well, that's nice. Our interviews are akin to Fiverr. That's not great.
No, it's
at least you don't have corrections at the end of this.
No, not at all. But and also it's it's good. It's a genuine talk.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my vibe actually. Really, I could where else? When else can you talk about yourself for 2 hours?
Yeah, and dig down into practice. It's very rare that I think in Northern Ireland we're very bad at telling other people what we're really good at. and talking about her work enough and getting enough recognition. So, well, it was yesterday was when I was looking at your work at the Guildhall and things like that. It was fantastic just to get to see the level of recognition outside the country, because that's sometimes very hard for, especially for smaller artists or beginning. So it's quite nice to see. If I can imagine the Fiver being a lovely chance to actually just delve into the work and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a sidetracking, but it is hard. The current climate, not the weather, but the climate, socially, societally. You have to talk about yourself, and not all of us are made for it. Like I would not. I mean, I'm doing this, but as a chat, not like a plug or that sort of thing. It's always a bit. Yeah, it's a bit awkward.
I think that's. I mean, because you're used to performance, but I think if I'm incorrect in saying this, your type of performance, you're not necessarily you're not center stage. You're not at the front of the stage screaming into a mic. There's a large riff, so it can be very hard to put yourself out there and take the credit that you're due. I suppose lots of artists, I think, from here, it's a particularly Northern Irish thing. I think, or Irish thing in general, that people don't often shout their accreditation from the rooftops as much as they should.
Well, I mean, I do find modesty is a merit, but anyway. So I had this. I'm just thinking if that's a good example. I had this. Yes, I think maybe it is. I had this piece about 10 years ago now, really, where I went around silently and then whispered into people's ears, but not by voice. But I had a speaker, so actually Bluetooth speaker, earbud when people weren't really using them yet. It was before AirPod. So I had the Bluetooth speaker, so that would make the sound, but the sound of my voice actually. So there was a lot of this sort of not confusion, uncanniness, whatever, all of these kind of ambivalence going on. But so that, for instance, came from me wanting to whisper, which is kind of this. It was about the sound of whisper, and then it went in there. I mean, so for instance, I didn't compose a piece with whispering noises that would be played in a, multi-channel speaker system, but then I made this piece that had this. Was like a bit like performance art as well, I would say, because there was I was dressed in a certain way, and I was, being in a certain way, behaving, and that also that little narrative that came out of the Bluetooth speaker had then, that had a plot. It was like 40 seconds long, but it had a plot and so on. So I think that's an example of.
Yeah. Do you find you meld into performance art more, because you obviously use the natural voice or the spoken voice in your work, which makes it, almost places it as a person-centered performance. Does that mean that you feel like you're touching on performance art sometimes, or do you try and deliberately stay away from it?
Oh, I let anything happen that the piece wants. But yes, definitely having my body as part of a piece, does touch. It goes in that direction of performance art. But it's not something that I ever intended either. But nor do I prevent that from happening, really. So yeah, I mean, my individual, like each piece from my practice is very individual, I would say, actually, within what I said in the beginning.
The pantheon of work.
Yeah. The general tendencies are there, but the characteristics are quite different, so that one would be quite performance arty, and one would be completely not. But for me, it's just the actual core, the thread, and what's actually in the piece, rather than how it's presented in a way. So, yeah. I mean, just saying, like, people who don't know me who are most people, or my work, could be thrown off. I'm just saying, yeah.
What is it like when you first start to? Where does the idea come from for a piece, or what is the kind of the first days of a development of a piece kind of like? So for if there was an artist, trying their hand at starting to understand what this massive concept of sound is,
Yeah.
and they wanted to look at, they love your work and they wanted to understand, how do you start or how do you get into it? Is there a defined beginning to a piece, or is it just the case where something evolves and it takes you into a place, and it could have gone 20 different directions, but you've only chosen one path or a couple of paths to initially investigate?
I think there's usually a beginning in the sense that there's a point when something comes to me, or when I pick up something from my daily life, or something I hear or something I see in the world. So in that sense, there's a beginning point, but it doesn't start with me making a blank document.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So it's not in the case of a found art piece, as in terms of you haven't, say, discovered something on the street, but a sound might have happened, or a story might have suggested itself, and you kind of go, oh,
yeah,
that might be interesting,
yeah.
and then that might start an investigation or a discovery.
Yeah. And it rarely has 20 paths as options. It's it's a bit less than that.
19.
Yeah, I mean, I think I generally sort of am quite firm in choosing the path, I think.
So it's more like deliberate steps along it.
Yeah, I think so. But always open and informed by instinct or by other things that, just more inputs just from the world. Whatever situation I might be in at the time, or whoever kind of people I am associated with. But I also try to screen, obviously, filter and screen appropriately. But yeah, it can be a couple of years at least till until something takes a form. And sometimes 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah, and also. Do you find you work on multiple pieces then at the same time, or are you monofocused? Is it a singular piece until its completion, or is there many plates?
I think I do I think I do about up to 2, 3, up to 3 probably, where in the sense of past, present, and future almost. So you might have something that you're kind of still tying up, but then you have the main project. I mean, as in not you. That I have a main project that I'm focusing on, but then something else is also brewing. But yeah, I guess like anybody else.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for coming down and having a chat.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, you'll see Una at the Handmade Music if you're watching this before the 5th of September. If you're watching it afterwards, you'll have to find Una's work on online if you Google Una Lee musician or sound. You'll find the right Una Lee, but we'll put a link to the actual website at the bottom. But thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thanks a lot, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.